How did I transform my rhythm game from going to this with a fully functional map editor, fully functional scoring system, and more features? Now, if you're new to this channel and you've never seen this game before, you might be able to compare it to Guitar Hero or Clone Hero, but this game is you hold your keyboard like a ukulele or guitar. Your keyboard acts like a fretboard on a ukulele/guitar, mainly ukulele because there's 4 lanes. So let's get into how this is played. So you're gonna hold your keyboard like this, as aforementioned, and if you play ukulele or guitar, this will make more sense. If not, just try to stick with me. I'm bad at explaining this. But you have 4 rows in game, which correspond to the bottom row being this row on the keyboard, then second bottom, then second top, then top row, and you're going to see a number. Each number you see, you're going to want to press the nth key on that keyboard. So you see a 4 on the top row, you're going to hit the letter 4. You see the letter 4, number 4 on your keyboard. But if you see on the bottom row, the number 4, you're going to hit the V key, because that's the bottom row and 4th string. There's 2 types of notes, pluck notes and strum notes. If you see an arrow, it's going to be a strum note. And you're going to hold whatever keys that it says to. And if it goes down, you're going to press technically what's the up arrow, but since you're really holding it like this, it's upside down, it's going to be down. And if it's up, you're going to press the up arrow. If it's a pluck note, you're going to hold each note you still need to, but you're going to press shift, enter, backslash, or backspace, depending on what lane it is. It should be parallel, so if it is the first lane, you will press backspace, and you're going to do that for each note. So it's the second highest lane where it says 4 with no arrows. We're gonna hold R, and then we're gonna press backspace when it gets to the point. Now let's get into some of the inner workings of the game. I will definitely not go through everything because there is a lot of updates that happened over the course of the few months that I've been working on this. So let's get into the more technical side on how I transformed this game, showing some of the ins and outs of the map editor, the main game loop, and more. Now let's get into the main game loop. The snippet of code you see right here runs whenever you load into a map. Notes are stored in a .json file where it is loaded into a serializable class that has the same values as a note would have. Now the circled code right here is going to handle practice mode, where if you want to start into a certain distance into a song, it's not going to spawn notes before the time you select it. If you do not wish to use practice mode, the code is just simply not. Now for each note you have in the .json file, it's going to spawn the note prefab that contains the note component, of course. It's going to set all the values like the beat, lane, if you're strumming, if it's down strum, and then it will initialize the note. Note initialization will take place after you load the song, so it is not shown in this snippet, but let's show how these notes are being initialized. Now this is probably the worst way I could do it, but it checks what the note string is, and then it will set the sprite, it will set the lane value, it will set the position, but the rest of the note code isn't bad at all. It will handle when the note is missed. It will also handle when the note is moving. Now the speed is going to be based off of when it is spawned, which depends on the amount of reaction beats the map is put in, and it will just move right at a certain amount of velocity until it reaches the end or gets hit. Now let's dive into the conductor class. Now this class has a lot of variables and it is my longest script, so this will be maybe a little bit longer. Now a common feature you may see in a lot of rhythm games are combos and multipliers. I know that they have it in Beat Saber and OS. This is pretty simple. It's gonna check each possible combo and multiplier and it will apply it. Now combos are set up with a serializable class called combos, put into a list in the conductor prefab, and here's how they look. And for the rank you see in the bottom middle, it is set up almost the exact same way, basically just copy pasted code. Now, score calculation is very important in this game. It is called 12 times at different spots of code, but that's also because it's a little redundant. I definitely have to clean up some code, but I digress. How it's calculated is the max possible distance before you miss the note minus the distance you are from the note divided by the max possible distance again times 100. This gives a percentage from 0 to 100, which is also your hit score. Obviously, times your multiplier. It will keep track of your own multiplied score too to calculate your accuracy. Now with that done, let's get into how the map editor works, as this took me way too long. Now, some important things to know about this map editor, especially if you plan to map in this game, is that it is definitely not the best, but I've added some features that make it alright, like a Control-Z, Control-Y feature. I plan to add copy-pasting notes because I haven't added that yet. You do have the option to add in your own audio spectrogram, as you can see on the bottom. If you don't care as much, then it will just automatically generate a waveform for you, and you'll be all good. So the code you're looking at right now is loading the notes in the editor, really different from the main loop. It does still read it from the JSON, but it will use the commands that you could undo and redo with all the settings you could change in the editor. Now with this place note command, it will make a new game object, but with a dummy note, which has different behaviors than the actual note, because this is for the editor handling if it's selected or not, and it will set it as a child of an empty game object that is moved left and right as you scroll, as you play the song. So that's how you navigate throughout the map. Now when you save, it will delete the old JSON file if it has one, and for each note, it will input some values into that JSON file depending on how the note is, if it's a strum, what note it is, and the beat. So that's all I'll show for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, consider subscribing, and all this code is open source on GitHub if you would like to take a look at it. This will release on itch.io for free at first and will become a paid Steam game as time goes on.